This is every single SML video that's based off of a real-life event, and today we're gonna be going over all of them, starting with SML movie Jeffy Attacks the Judge. In this one, Jeffy steals a Minecraft toy and ends up getting arrested for it. They take him to court, and bro just straight up jumps Judge Poopy. Not once, not twice, but 3 whole times, and he even ends up killing him. Then, Judge Anthony has to step in, but Jeffy somehow kills him through the phone. It's a hilarious plot, but here's the thing. This whole thing was inspired by a real-life event. On January 3rd, 2024, a guy named Deborah Ridden literally jumped a judge during his sentencing for felony battery. And yes, it was all caught on camera.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he get a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
After Deborah did this, he would be sentenced to 26 to 65 years in prison, and would be charged with attempted murder along with other charges. Now, SML probably saw this funny situation and decided to make a video mocking it, which I gotta say, created a really funny video. But what about SML movie Jeffy Goes to a Diddy Party? This video centers around Diddy being sentenced for his crimes, but for some reason, the court gives him 24 hours to get his affairs in order. Instead of handling his business, Diddy throws the biggest freak off ever, with Junior, Jeffy, and everyone else crashing it. But here's where things take a dark turn. This video was actually based off a real-life event that isn't nearly as fun. Diddy was arrested on September 16th, 2024, for charges like naughty trafficking and racketeering. After further investigation, they discovered even worse things. His house was filled with thousands of bottles of baby oil, and for years, he's been hosting freak-off parties, which were really illegal, and disturbing things went down in them. On top of that, he has faced numerous civil lawsuits and accusations of unconsensual activities, assault, child abuse, and harassment dating that went all the way back to the 90s. It's a pretty unsettling real-life connection to a video that didn't look as bad as it really was to the average viewer. However, we are nowhere near done with the Diddy saga, because as of filming this video, SML recently came out with a part 2 to SML movie Jeffy Goes to a Diddy Party. In the part 2 of this video, Diddy was found not guilty of all of his charges and was let out of jail. This made Brooklyn guy ask Marvin if he could go to the Diddy party he was gonna host after being released, and he wanted Marvin to sneak in with a camera to get evidence of Diddy doing these bad things again, so this time they could put him away for good. However, they would fail miserably at this, not getting any evidence. Now, this wasn't just a made-up plot. This actually happened really recently. As of July 2nd, 2025, Diddy was found not guilty of racketeering and 2 counts of naughty trafficking. His sentencing court date is gonna be on October 3rd, and he can be seen to face between 4 to 5 years in prison. And to make the situation even weirder, fans were outside the courtroom celebrating with baby oil? And no, for those of you wondering, Diddy did not actually get released and walk free. That part was made up by Logan, but he was found not guilty on most charges, and the whole Diddy situation is probably one of the darker ones on this list. But while the Diddy situation is really just something, this next real-life event is based on something that happened to Logan. In SML movie Attack of the Flies, Jeffy finds 2 flies mating on his bed. Yeah, definitely a weirder start to the video. Then a swarm of flies started invading the house, and this would cause Marvin to call Jackie Chu for help, where Jackie Chu didn't want to help at first until a fly started insulting his grandfather. This caused Jackie Chu to come over with a gun full of salt. He would kill most of the flies, but have to call in his son Jackie 2 for backup. And finally, he used a fly swatter to kill the rest of the flies. Now, this plot was very weird, but the real-life event tied to the story is around in the middle of 2023, where the SML filming house house was actually infested with termites. Now, if we had to guess, this was probably during the time where they were looking for a new cleaning lady. So they might have had some messes left out, and this caused termites to pile up, and became a big problem for the crew. So SML has made some videos poking at some weird stuff before, including a pest problem they had, but they took it a step further by making fun of actual crimes. Again, and these ones might be even worse. That brings us to the video SML movie Jeffy Catches a Predator. In this one, Joseph starts chatting with some random dude online that claims to be in his 30s or 40s. Things get super sketchy when this person would send a full picture of his junk to Joseph. And to the surprise of no one, it turns out that this person is none other than EDP445. He would end up getting arrested in this video, and from there, the rest of this episode turns into Jeffy trying to catch other online predators. But every time, he fails in classic Jeffy fashion. This whole video is clearly based off the real-life EDP445 cupcake incident from 2021. Basically, EDP had been messaging someone he thought was a 30-year-old girl for months. Then, in April, he tried to meet up with her, but it turned out this would be a sting operation set up by a YouTube group called Predator Poachers. And when they confronted him, his now infamous excuse was that he was there to just pick up a cupcake. Clearly, no one bought it.
Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake and then go back home.
But let's be real here. Everyone could see that this whole thing was just a bunch of lies. Even the YouTubers knew what was up, since they had all the gross messages EDP sent as proof. Now, you'd think after all that, EDP would be done for good, right? Well, that definitely wasn't the case. Fast forward to 2023, and boom, he gets caught trying to meet up with a minor. This time, it was the YouTubers Gideon and Skeeter Jean who had set him up. And get this, Gideon showed up in a cupcake costume.
I just want to know, why do you think we're here?
Fuck you, man.
If you could guess, Brian, why do you think we're here? Could you answer me that, Bryant?
SML saw all of this, and just 2 months later, they made a video on him, and in a way would also make fun of predator catching channels who would sometimes fail at catching predators. The video would get really positive responses, with most fans liking the video. The EDP voice lines on the puppets are funny ASF. Now, let's talk about SML movie Jeffy Breaks Marvin's Back. In this video, Jeffy Jr. and the rest of the trio just wanted to swim, but Marvin, being a grumpy little goober, wasn't letting them, so Jeffy would then proceed to wish that Marvin broke his back. After Cody mentioned that stepping on a crack breaks your mama's back, this would cause them to use an Uno reverse card, so when they step on the crack, instead of breaking Rosa's back, it would break Marvin's back. Now, that was the plot, but let's get to the good part, the real life event. Now, this video was actually based on Logan breaking his back, as the video posted before this one was SML movie Jeffy's Fast and Furious. In this video, Logan was racing one of the cars, specifically his red 1,000 horsepower Chevy Camaro, and the reason Logan would crash is because the tread on his tires burned off. So when he raced at the end of the drag strip, he wouldn't be able to brake, and his car would land in a ditch really hard. In this video, they didn't exactly reenact what happened, but would still make Marvin break his back to basically represent Logan's situation and shed some light on it. And when it comes to the fans, many of them quickly caught on to what the video was really about. I wonder what inspired this video. The fact that Logan dedicated this to himself is wild, but what about Logan completely mocking obsessive fans? That brings us to SML movie Jeffy and Junior's gold play button. In this video, Junior was making toy review videos to try to get a gold play button. Jeffy saw this and decided to join in to try to help. They tried to prank Chef Pee-Pee, but failed, and realized how hard it would be to truly get a gold play button. So they thought of no better idea than to try and steal Logan's golden play button. For the rest of the video, they would act like obsessive fans and attempt to steal their play button, but throughout the video, they failed miserably. And then at the end, they just straight up stole Logan's Lamborghini. Now, the real life event related to this video is basically Logan making fun of fans that show up to his house at night, and also the obsessive fans who would behave a similar way that Jeffy did in this video.
Hello?
Are you Super Mario Logan?
Yeah.
The creator of Jeffy?
Yeah.
Where's the Jeffy puppet?
Lance has it.
Can I hold it?
Well, Lance isn't here right now.
Well, I saw his truck out front.
Okay, well, he's upstairs, but we're not using Jeffy today.
Okay, where's Junior?
I mean, I'm using him for a scene. We're trying
Can
to...
I hold Junior?
Well, we're trying to get a scene right now.
Well, I can be in the scene. I'm the best at set the scenes. I'll get it one take.
Well, I mean,
It'll be a one take Timmy.
okay, well, we're trying to get...
Can I get a house tour?
I mean, we're not letting fans...
Can I live here?
Well, we're not letting fans inside the house because of the cough.
Well, I've already had it, so we're good. So, can I live here?
This video was super blatantly obvious that it was a shot at obsessive fans, so viewers would notice right away. I like how the cast is low-key roasting us. I love how they're basically dissing his type of fans. Just when you think these SML videos can't get any weirder, here comes SML movie Jeffy's Gamergirl problem. And trust me, this one is really weird. So it starts with Marvin, Jeffy, and Rose watching the news. And there is this 21-year-old gamer girl who is somehow selling her gross bathwater for $250 a jar. Jeffy hears about this and immediately tells Junior and Joseph. Naturally, they decide that they need to get some, so Jeffy steals Marvin's credit card to buy it. Meanwhile, Marvin orders a pizza, but in typical SML fashion, the bathwater shows up right before the pizza, and Marvin ends up accidentally getting it. Rose sees this and immediately assumes that Marvin bought it for himself, and just like you would expect, she gets really mad at him. But it only gets worse. Jeffy also orders a stepped-on Gamergirl pizza, and of course, Marvin ends up getting that too. At this point, Rose completely loses it. This may be hard to believe, but this indeed was actually based off of a real-life event. Back in 2019, adult streamer Belle Delphine would sell her own bathwater for $30 a jar, and she reportedly made over $90,000 off of it. And not only did SML use this as a free content idea, but other YouTubers made ridiculous videos about it, such as classics like I vaped Belle Delphine's bathwater, or trying Belle Delphine's bathwater, and other women later would capitalize off these weird ideas. As recently, in 2025, Sydney Sweeney announced that she's gonna start selling soap made purely out of her bathwater. People are really doing anything for money nowadays. Well, that last video was definitely a really weird one, but let's go back to covering some serious topics. And that brings us to SML movie John F. Kennedy. In this interesting video, Junior, Joseph, and Penelope are playing basketball while Cody dresses as a girl, and he goes on an anniversary trip with Ken to Dallas, Texas, while being driven by Jeffy, until Ken is suddenly shot and killed on the road. Cody goes back home, and suspicion grows as Cody believes that either Junior or Joseph may be responsible for this. And after a video reveals the moment of the shooting, but not the shooter, Joseph is arrested and later shot by Timmy in revenge, leading to a crazy courtroom scene where Timmy is sentenced to death, but accidentally killed by Judge Poopy using his broken gavel. In the end, Junior heavily implies that he was the real killer all along, leaving Cody shocked and very mad. This video was very clearly based off the tragedy of John F. Kennedy. Kennedy was assassinated on November 22nd, 1965 in Dallas, Texas, while riding a motorcade in the city. Later on, the assassinator, Lee Harvey Oswald, would be arrested, and just 2 days later, Oswald would be shot and killed by an individual named Jack Ruby, while he was being transferred to a different jail. And fun fact, Kennedy is the reason why presidents can no longer drive by themselves anymore. The SML video told the story in a pretty decent way, with some plot changes like usual, but it was cool seeing SML cover a serious tragedy like this. However, now that we're on the topic of presidential tragedies, let's talk about SML movie Junior gets his ear pierced. Basically, Junior wants to get his ear pierced to impress Penelope, but since Braxton won't allow it, he convinces Cody to shoot his ear from the roof with a sniper rifle, but Cody would accidentally hit Donald Duck instead, and would also shoot Junior's other ear, after the piercing turned out to be the wrong ear, making Junior think people will assume he's gay. Chaos continues as Cody is identified as the shooter and ends up in court, where Mickey and Goofy try to get revenge. In the end, both of Junior's ears are pierced by bullets. Now, if it wasn't already obvious, this incident is based off the assassination attempt of Donald Trump at one of his rallies on July 13th, 2024. His right ear was shot, and his head movement was the reason his life was saved. The SML video told the story in a pretty decent way, and they even chose Cody as the shooter, most likely because he looks similar to the real shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks. But what about SML movie Abraham Lincoln Ken? In this video, Junior, Joseph, and Cody decide to go back in time to a theater, to the exact time that Abraham Lincoln got shot, and Cody ended up accidentally leaving Ken on Lincoln Lincoln's dead body. This would cause everyone to believe that Ken was Abraham Lincoln and got on the $5 bill and never ended up getting shot in history. Now, if it wasn't already obvious, this is based off the assassination of Abraham Lincoln on April 14th, 1865. Actor and Confederate supporter John Wilkes Booth shot and killed President Abraham Lincoln while he was watching a play called Our American Cousin at Ford Theater in Washington. Booth had a bigger plan to take out other top government officials too, but in the end, Lincoln was the only one he managed to kill. This assassination is one of, if not the most popular political assassinations in history, and SML did a pretty good job of retelling the story, besides some plot changes like usual. Now, speaking of killings, let's take a little detour from the whole presidential tragedy side of things and dive into something different. Next, we got SML movie Jeffy's Pet Squirrel. In this one, a squirrel somehow manages to get into their house and start stealing peanuts from Chef Pee-Pee. Jeffy, of course, spots it and decides it'd make the perfect pet. He shows it off to everyone, but things go south when the squirrel bites Timmy. Timmy freaks out and runs off to Hank, who then calls the cops. The cops show up to Marvin's house and get ready to chop off the squirrel's head to test if it has rabies, but Marvin somehow convinces Brooklyn guy with a fake doctor's note saying that the squirrel is fine. Then, to no one's surprise, Marvin ends up catching rabies. Now, as goofy as the plot sounds, believe it or not, it's still based off a true story. There was an eastern gray squirrel found and rescued by an individual named Mark Longo in 2017. Mark found the squirrel because he was driving home from work one day and he saw the squirrel's mother killed by a car in New York City. Mark would try to find shelter for the squirrel and he subsequently named the squirrel Peanut, but he was unsuccessful finding it a shelter, so he decided to take care of it and bottle feed it for 8 months. Then, after he decided that Peanut should be let back into the wild, just one day later, he would find Peanut on his porch with half of its tail missing. After this, he would decide to keep Peanut and would even make an Instagram account for him, and the username was Peanut the Squirrel 12. But the true story that this video was based on is that on October 30th, 2024, Peanut was taken by the New York authorities as they had suspicion that it had rabies, and unfortunately, they would kill Peanut the same day. And many people to this day want justice for Peanut. However, now that we're on the topic of squirrel-related things, let's talk about SML movie The Acorn. This video starts off with Brooklyn Guy and Simmons being followed by a cop's camera crew during their routine patrol, where they would arrest Charlie for possible green stuff possession and would put him in the back of a cop car. Then an acorn falls on the car behind Brooklyn Guy, which would cause him to accidentally shoot 26 bullets at Charlie, confusing the acorn for a gunshot. However, Charlie didn't get hit by any of the bullets, so he sued, and Brooklyn Guy is stripped of his job. But later, he would want his job back, so he teams up with Marvin to track down a local serial killer, with Rose acting as bait. Brooklyn Guy would catch the criminal and get his job back thanks to Rose. Now, this video was actually really accurate to the real-life event linked behind this. On November 12th, 2023, 2 police officers named Jeffy Hernandez and Beth Roberts would open fire on an individual named Marquise Jackson because an acorn fell on the police car, and they would somehow mistake it for a gunshot.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! You know. I'm hit! What? I'm in the car! I was shot through the car!
Jackson would have literally 0 injuries and would put a lawsuit on the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office in the middle of 2024. So the police were already getting backlash over Jackson's situation, but Wendy's wasn't exactly off the hook either, especially after the whole mess with their Krabby Patty meal. This brings us to SML movie The Krabby Patty Meal. In this video, Junior and his friends are super excited when they see that Wendy's is offering the meal, and the promotion promised this awesome custom box to go with it. But when Chef Pee-Pee brings it back for them, it's just a regular bag. No special packaging in sight. Naturally, they decide to sue Wendy's, and the fast food chain assures them that the custom boxes will be available everywhere from now on. Now, the real-life event that this is tied to is more simple than you'd think. The video was simply making fun of how bad the meal truly was, and how much hate Wendy's was getting online for it. Many people hated it and thought they could do a better job. I honestly agree with you, Logan. The Wendy's Krabby Patty meal sucked, and I do think that McDonald's would do such a better job at doing the Krabby Patty meal, and the Plankton toy idea was pretty good as well. I agree. Looking back, the way Wendy's advertised the Krabby Patty collab and sold it as a complete ripoff, it could have done better if McDonald's sold the SpongeBob Krabby Patty meal. From the packaging to the quality of the food, maybe in the future, we'll see if they'll do it again with another fast food chain, but definitely not Wendy's, like they already did. They were not even mentally prepared for the quality that they would have had, and even Logan posted a whole rant about it on the Chili channel, and let's just say he had some words for the meal.
So you're telling me that finally, SpongeBob collabs with a restaurant and says, you can sell the Krabby Patty, you can advertise the fuck out of it, you can make millions. And Wendy's like, oh, I know exactly how we're gonna do it. We're gonna just sell it in a regular fucking brown bag and say it's a Krabby Patty. People can eat that shit up because look, I ate it up. I ordered it.
Yeah, the meal definitely wasn't done correctly by Wendy's, but cruises make mistakes too. Just like the Poop Cruise. No, I'm not even kidding, the Poop Cruise. And SML movie The Poop Cruise represents the story in a good and a funny way. In this video, Junior, Joseph, and Cody watch a wild documentary about the infamous Poop Cruise from 2013, where the engine failure caused a massive toilet disaster. The captain told passengers to start pooping in the sinks and showers. Obviously, that didn't go well, and many people ended up getting stuck in the poop and tragically died. After watching this mess, Junior and his friends get the very dumb idea to create their own poop cruise in the pool, which somehow ends up making them $2,000. Now, the real-life event of this did happen. However, it went a little differently. This occurred on the cruise called Carnival Triumph. So on February 10th, 2013, at 5:30 a.m., the ship had a fire in the engine room at the back of the boat. Luckily, the fire was quick to put out and no one got hurt, but it caused a major issue. There was no power, and as a result, raw sewage started backing up into the passenger decks, turning everything into a huge health code nightmare. The media had a field day with it and ended up calling it the Poop Cruise. In the real version of the story, no one would actually die from the incident, but it turned the fun cruise trip into a living nightmare. But what about SML movie The Spy Balloon? It starts off with Jeffy, Junior, and Cody just messing around when they accidentally shoot down a Chinese spy balloon with a toy rocket. Somehow they end up getting award medals of honor for it, but here's where it gets crazy. They're made part of the missile defense team, and the chief, who is clearly not the brightest, decides to turn off all the satellites and detection systems and talk trash to China on international news. Why? Because he thinks Junior, Jeffy, and Cody are like superhuman or something? Naturally, things go south. China launches a nuke, and it ends up hitting San Francisco. In the end, the boys lose their medals. Now, this video was actually based off a true story, and basically, from January 28th to February 4th, 2023, a Chinese high-altitude balloon flew across North America, drifting over Alaska, Western Canada, and much of the US mainland. On February 4th, the US Air Force shot down the balloon off the coast of South Carolina, in US territorial waters. The wreckage was recovered and sent to the FBI's lab for further analysis. By June, preliminary findings revealed that the balloon had intelligence gathering equipment on board, but it didn't seem to have transmitted any data back to China. President Joe Biden later described that the spy balloon's gear as being roughly the size of 2 railroad cars, though he downplayed it as not a major breach. He also suggested that China's leadership might not have been fully aware of the balloon's mission. Now, obviously, it wasn't shot down with a toy rocket, but like in usual SML fashion, they added their own touch to make it goofy and interesting. SML is the only channel that can make a video about something real and make it sound fake. The fact that they recreated a real situation that's happening right now. Now, if you think that video based off a real-life event was goofy, this one might be goofier. In SML movie The President's Book, it starts with Junior, Joseph, and Cody getting caught up in a wild conspiracy from Dr. Finkelshitz, about 9/11 being planned for years before it happened. And in their quest for proof, they decide that they need the president's book of secrets to confirm the truth. After a ridiculous plan involving McDonald's and a fake kidnapping of Donald Trump, they manage to steal the book, only to be caught by Donald Trump himself, who demands it back. They briefly glance at what's in there, uncovering bizarre secrets like Harriet Tubman inventing twerking. But before they can dive deeper into the 9/11 mystery, Trump reclaims the book, leaving them with a TikTok ban as punishment. However, the real-life event tied to this video is rather simple. It's based off of how people have always wondered and have made theories about what continents the president's book of secrets truly has. Obama even talked about this in an interview on August 29th, 2009, and he said, "I'd tell you, but I'd have to kill you." To this day, no one ever knows what the continents of this book is, and we probably never will. However, the story tied to SML movie Goodman Sue Starbucks isn't much of a secret. In this video, Marvin, Rose, and Jeffy get into a chaotic situation where Jeffy insists on having Scooby-Doo snacks, which Marvin refuses to provide, leading to a messy scene with jelly beans on the red couch. The situation escalates after Marvin watches the news about a man winning $50 million for spilling hot coffee on himself, prompting Goodman to pour a Starbucks drink on himself in an attempt to get the same payout. The legal antics continue as Goodman sues Starbucks, eventually winning the case, and Marvin, inspired by the lawsuit, decides to try and replicate the stunt, only to end up with room temperature coffee and no payout, while Starbucks decides to only sell room temperature coffee to avoid further lawsuits. Now, when it comes to the true story, it wasn't much different. Back in 2020, a delivery driver named Michael Garcia was just picking up drinks in a drive-thru in Los Angeles when disaster struck. As he was getting drinks, one of them spilled on his lap, causing some pretty severe burns and nerve damage, and it ended up leaving my boy with a disfigurement down there. It was seriously painful and pretty much a life-altering incident, and he ended up suing Starbucks, and just recently in March 2025, he got paid out $50 million by Starbucks. Now, another situation that may be just as controversial is the one shown in SML movie The Volleyball Game. It started off by Junior and Joseph hanging out on the red couch playing a game of Seen It, where Penelope gets upset about not making the girls' volleyball team, sparking an argument with Junior over women's competition history. To prove a point, Junior gathers Joseph, Cody, and Jeffy to play against the volleyball team in a tournament, with Brooklyn Guy as their coach. After some intense gameplay, the boys win by default, and it's revealed that one of the girls, Wilma, is actually a guy, causing the girls' team to be disqualified, leaving Junior to brag until Penelope points out that he didn't outscore them. This video is referring to the controversies regarding transgender athletes being able to compete alongside non-transgender athletes in sports, and how the government is trying to make rules out of this. Most people out there don't support this and speak their minds out on free speech apps like Reddit. It shouldn't be the government's place to decide who can play and who can't play. It should be the sports bodies themselves. Now, that was one of the more controversial ones, but thankfully, SML movie Brooklyn Guy's Ball isn't anywhere near as controversial. The video starts off by Karen discovering that their bills are overdue, but Brooklyn Guy just brushes it off, showing her a football that he claims is Tom Brady's Super Bowl touchdown ball. After trying to pawn it and being told it's worthless due to an Antonio Brown signature, Brooklyn Guy goes on a chaotic mission to get Tom Brady to sign it, eventually resorting to kidnapping him with Marvin's help. Though Tom Brady eventually signs the ball with an insult, Brooklyn Guy is unfazed, and later proudly shows the signed ball to Karen. While the news reports that Tom sold the Super Bowl jersey, Brooklyn Guy threatened him for $2 million. Now, the true story tied to this is rather simple. It's simply about Logan wanting to get his football with an Antonio Brown signature, signed by Tom Brady, and the real-life event that ties to this is that Antonio Brown and Tom Brady absolutely hate each other, but during Logan's $800,000 charity dinner with Tom Brady, he actually got it signed. But while that real-life event was pretty simple to say the least, the real-life event for SML movie Jeffy the Boxer is not as simple as you may think. In this video, Junior, Jeffy, Cody, and Joseph are watching the news when they hear that Floyd Mayweather made $100 million for fighting Logan Paul. Junior then gets the wild idea to film Jeffy knocking out 50 people to get Mayweather's attention. Jeffy goes on a full-out knockout spree, taking down Joseph, Chef Pee-Pee, Cody's parents, Junior's dad, a celebrity, and his own parents, and even the news anchor, before finally reaching 50 by knocking out the audience watching the video. Junior calls a promoter hoping to get a Jeffy fight with Mayweather, but ends up landing a match with undefeated D-Money. Jeffy surprisingly wins and earns $100 million, only for Goodman to sue them for that exact amount, leaving Junior wanting to start the whole thing over. Now, if it wasn't already clear, this video is based off all the fights that were happening back in 2021 with Jake Paul, specifically Jake Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. So back on December 6, 2020, Logan Paul and Mayweather agreed to face off in an exhibition match that was originally set for February 20th, 2021, but it ended up getting pushed back and actually happened on June 6, 2021 at the Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami Gardens. Now, when the fight ended, no official winner was actually announced, but Mayweather had some good words to say about Jake Paul. Mayweather said, "He was better than I thought he was. He was a tough, rough competitor." Then, for the rest of 2021, Jake would have 3 other fights, 2 with Tyron Woodley and 1 with Ben Askren, and Jake would win all of them. That was a pretty crazy fight history coming from Jake. But why don't we take a trip down memory lane and go back to 2018 and talk about SML movie Junior's bad news. The video kicks off with Junior playing his Megazord toy in the kitchen, but when he leaves to use the bathroom, he asks Chef Pee-Pee to watch it, only for my boy Chef Pee-Pee to immediately break it. Junior comes back, finds his toy destroyed, throws a tantrum, and then demands a replacement, leading Chef Pee-Pee to take him to Toys R Us, only for them to discover it's permanently closed, leaving Junior devastated. This would cause Junior to try to protest, and even make a song about saving Toys R Us.
Why? I missed your toys, it always felt like Christmas. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. I wish I could play with all the toys in the store. Every single toy in the store. But you lost all your money and now you're poor. And now you're poor, really, really poor. So very poor, had to close your door. Toys R Us no more.
2 weeks later, after failing to make money with the Saving Toys R Us song, Junior and his friends accept defeat and go to Walmart instead, still chanting "We want toys" on the way out. Now, the real story behind this video is pretty straightforward. It's all about how Toys R Us officially shut down worldwide in 2018, and a lot of people were heartbroken that there wouldn't be a dedicated toy store anymore. The main reason it happened was because the company filed for bankruptcy that year. As part of the process, they had to close every store in the US to meet the terms of the bankruptcy agreement. The whole situation was pretty sad for a lot of people, but SML movie Jeffy Competes in the Olympics is very different. The video starts off with Jeffy annoying Marvin using a bubble blaster, eventually leading to a comment about Jeffy only being fit for the Special Olympics, which Jeffy takes as inspiration and sets off the join. Meanwhile, Junior and his friends hear about Jeffy's plans, and despite Cody explaining what the Special Olympics actually are, Junior and Joseph fake injuries just to win gold medals. They end up getting really hurt, but Brooklyn Guy decides to form a team with them anyway, and takes them to the actual Paris Olympics, only to realize it's too late and that they're up against real pros, like LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Michael Phelps, instead of other disabled athletes. After being completely crushed in basketball and swimming, Jeffy pulls off a miracle tie in a race against Usain Bolt, earning the team a single gold medal. Now, the real life inspiration behind this video is actually pretty cool, and it ties into a few different events. For one, it highlights the 2024 Paris Olympics and touches on how some Paralympic athletes can also compete in the regular Olympics. A standout example is Bruna Alexandre, a table tennis player who made history as the first athlete to compete in both the Paralympics and the Olympics. Fun fact, she lost her right arm as a baby, which is why she initially competed in the Paralympics. But since table tennis only really requires one hand, she decided to take on the challenge of the main Olympic stage too. This was all pretty impressive, but what Douggee did to Marvin in SML movie Dougie's Fried Chicken Cheetos was nowhere near impressive at all. In this video, Marvin thought he was getting dinner, but Rose gave him pizza rolls instead. And while he was choking on one, Douggee asked him for $500 just so he wouldn't have to get a job. Then Douggee ends up wanting to get some rare fried chicken Cheetos instead, which sends Marvin on a wild adventure involving secret calls, Chester Cheetah snorting Cheetos, and a ridiculous trade offer from a rich guy named Prince Abu Dhabi, who wants Rose or someone to slob his knob. In the end, Chester agrees to be Abu Dhabi's pet and slob on his knob in exchange for the Cheetos. And when Douggee finally gets one singular Cheeto, he hates it and says he'd rather just have the $500. Now, when it comes to the real life event, it's actually pretty self-explanatory. Basically, these fried chicken Cheetos are very rare and are only really available in the Middle East. And they actually end up not even liking the taste of fried chicken, according to Lance.
It doesn't really have, it tastes like not fried chicken. It's very European.
It's freaking weird.
What's it taste like?
I don't know. I think because I smell the coffee, I taste the coffee.
Many people definitely didn't expect that outcome when it came to the fried chicken Cheetos. However, people probably did expect the outcome for SML movie The Rigged Game. In this video, Tom Brady was jealous that the Buccaneers are thriving without him, so he asks Marvin to sabotage their playoff game against the Lions. Marvin calls on Brooklyn Guy for help, and Brooklyn Guy sneaks into the Buccaneers locker room and pulls off a series of wild stunts, like buttering Mike Evans' gloves, putting lice in Baker Mayfield's helmet, and even drugging their Gatorade, while secretly juicing up a Lions player's jersey for good measure. The plan works and the Bucks lose, but when Marvin and Brooklyn Guy try to cash in on their $1 million bet, they realize that the casino never confirmed the deal, leaving them with nothing. Now, the true story for this video is really simple. Basically, the Buccaneers actually did lose against the Lions 31-23, and this would cause the Lions to move on to the NFC Championship game against the San Francisco 49ers. However, an alternative ending was filmed for this if the results were the other way around, and it was posted to Lance's channel.
Wow, the Lions actually lost.
Everything we did backfired. Nobody wanted to tackle Mike Evans because he smelled like shit, and Bakey McFuckballs already had lice, and that was the Lions Gatorade I put Miralax and piss in.
Donovan Peoples-Jones didn't even play. He was just raged up on steroids on the sidelines.
And the Lion did attack the Lions players. He couldn't even tell the difference.
I can't believe you guys fucked this up. I lost so much money because of you guys. And now, I'm not even gonna put your balls in a blender. I'm just gonna chomp on them with my molars like I'm eating a pistachio.
That's fair. Well, you guys really fucked this up for me. I was having a good time kissing my son, but now the Buccaneers are going to the NFC Championships and I look like a pussy.
I'm sorry, Tom Brady. This is the worst day ever. Tom Brady hates us, and our balls are gonna get chomped on.
Now, the real-life event for this video may not have been the most interesting, but the real-life event in SML movie Brooklyn Guy's ear problem is far more interesting. The video kicks off with Brooklyn Guy getting super hyped after winning an online auction for Evander Holyfield's bitten off ear, but the package gets destroyed in a UPS plane crash, along with hundreds of others, when it crashes into a children's hospital. And my boy Brooklyn Guy cares more about the missing ear than the tragedy itself. Furious, he demands the auction house to give him Holyfield's other ear, insisting Mike Tyson bites it off again, and even gets legal permission to do it himself after the other judge offers him a bizarre 24-hour pass. With Marvin's help, Brooklyn Guy tracks down Holyfield at Applebee's, disguises himself as a waiter, and after making a bunch of cringy ear puns, he finally bites off the other ear mid-meal. He returns triumphant, but still disappointed, since it's not the iconic ear that Tyson bit off, and breaks down when he realizes that he doesn't have a certificate to prove it's legit. Now, if the story wasn't clear enough already, this video was based off how Mike Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's ear on June 28th, 1997, in the WBA Heavyweight Championship rematch, and all of this was caught on national television.
Oh, and some nasty stuff in there. There looked to be a bite almost. Holyfield is very unhappy. Look at this. It looked as if Tyson bared his teeth at one stage in the exchange.
Yes,
bit
I
his
think
ear.
He bit his ear. That's what Holyfield was in. A lot of pain from that. You see the blood on the ear. That was definitely a bite.
Now, because of this incident, Tyson got disqualified from the match and got his boxing license revoked, but he didn't get charged for this. However, now that we're on the topic of athletes doing dumb things, that brings us to SML movie Brooklyn Guy Tries to Help. So it all kicks off with Brooklyn Guy being super depressed because the Miami Heat are losing and their star player, Jimmy Butler, is out with an injury. And worse, he's more into coffee than basketball. Karen suggests fixing Jimmy's leg, which leads Brooklyn Guy to a wild attempt at getting Jimmy off his coffee addiction by dragging him into an Addictions Anonymous, where they meet characters like Ronald McDonald, Chester Cheetah, with all of their bizarre issues. Despite the rehab attempts and even a training montage, Jimmy just can't quit coffee, and he even ends up bathing in it, saying it's more meaningful than the game. In the end, Brooklyn Guy loses hope, and in a dramatic twist, he shoots Jimmy by a lake so that he can live forever in a coffee-filled paradise, leaving Brooklyn Guy broken and sobbing at home. Now, the true story to this is simply how Jimmy Butler actually has a coffee obsession, and it isn't made up for these videos. His coffee journey started in the 2020 NBA Bubble series, where he would sell coffee out of his hotel room to his teammates for $20 a cup. After this, bro made coffee a part of his whole routine. While he's on the road, Butler kicks off his day by having breakfast and coffee with his performance coach, then swings by a local coffee shop for another cup right after. Once he's back in his room, he brews a fresh one using his big face travel kit. After grabbing lunch and hitting up a team meeting, it's time for coffee again, and before the game, he has one more meal, and of course, another cup to top it off. All of this caused Butler to start his own coffee brand called Big Face Coffee. He currently has one official shop in Miami, Design District, Florida. Jimmy Butler definitely has quite the odd obsession, but staying on the topic of Brooklyn Guy videos, we have SML movie Brooklyn Guy's Sad Day. The video starts off with Brooklyn Guy skipping Beyonce's birthday party because he's mourning the anniversary of Steve Irwin's death, which upsets Beyonce and somehow gets the president involved, who publicly calls for people to punch him in the face. After getting hit by multiple people, including Jeffy, Marvin, and even Chef Pee Pee with a frying pan, Brooklyn Guy finally decides to go party with Karen and eat their half-eaten cookie cake. At the party, he gets insulted by Drake and was told that no one wants him there, but finally he gets a chance to talk to Beyonce, who surprises him by saying she also honors Steve Irwin every year instead of celebrating her birthday. Relieved and touched, Brooklyn Guy realizes she gets it after all, and they both agree it's time to party in Steve Irwin's honor. Now, this plot is definitely all over the place, but it still has a true story tied to it. This video is referencing the death of Steve Irwin. Steve Irwin was known as a popular crocodile hunter, and he died on September 4th, 2006, after being pierced in the chest by a single stingray barb while filming a documentary called Ocean's Deadliest in the Great Barrier Reef. It would strike his heart, causing massive trauma and immediate cardiac arrest. He was only 44 years old during his time of death, and SML uploaded this exactly 18 years after he died. This video was referencing a very sad topic. However, for football fans, the true story in SML movie The Retirement was very sad for them too. The video starts with Junior, Joseph, and Cody eating Lunchables when Chef Pee Pee freaks out after hearing the news that Tom Brady is retiring, calling him a god and spiraling into a meltdown. After stuffing his face with bread and trying to eat a Tom Brady book, Chef Pee Pee ends up in a mental hospital, where Brooklyn Guy joins him in grief, even saying he'd rather lose his wife than Tom Brady. Junior tries everything to stop Tom Brady from retiring, including offering him $7.75, but nothing works, and they give up. Suddenly, Brooklyn Guy rushes them off to the hospital, saying Chef Pee Pee is in a coma from the heartbreak, and the episode ends with Chef Pee Pee somehow involved in a weird kissing threesome. Now, if it wasn't already clear, the real-life event for this video is related to Tom Brady retiring. This video was uploaded on February 6, 2022, and in 2022, he initially announced that he was retiring, but he ended up deciding to stay for one more season and would officially retire on February 1st, 2023, at the ripe age of 47 years old. This decision was reportedly behind the divorce from his now ex-wife, Gisele Bündchen, and best believe, many fans were shocked and sad about this. It's sad that Brady is retiring. Hats off for him and his football team. Can't believe Tom Brady is retired. Now, speaking of retired people, let's talk about SML movie Junior the Boxer. This video kicks off with Cody bragging over a board game called Grouch Couch. But then, Junior and his friends get quickly distracted by a wild TV commercial, offering people a chance to win $100 million or lose it to charity by boxing none other than Mike Tyson. Junior decides to enter the raffle, and of course, his name gets picked, which leads to his friends warning him that he'll literally die if he goes through with it. Despite training in a short montage, Junior steps into the ring with Mike Tyson and gets knocked out cold twice, nearly losing his ear in the process. While Brooklyn guy barely manages to drag him back home in one piece, in the end, Junior doesn't win any money. Now, when we bring up Mike Tyson boxing in the year of 2024, it's pretty obvious what the real event of this video is tied to. It's referencing the very bizarre and unfair Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight. It all started with Jake Paul calling out Mike Tyson for a fight on July 21st, 2024.
Mike Tyson, you're next, big boy. Sign the contract November 15th on Netflix. I'm excited for that one. I'm gonna go home, prepare for that.
Then everyone would patiently wait until November 15th, when the fight would finally occur. And everyone knows what the outcome of this fight was. Mike Tyson would unfortunately lose, and Jake Paul won. But let's be honest, that fight was nowhere near fair. Alright, well, there we have it. Those were all the SML videos that were based on real life events that I could find. If you enjoyed this video, watch this next video on screen. It's not like you have anything better to do. You just watched a video about me yapping about SML for like 40 minutes.